Why isn't your product selling, even though its quality is superior? Why are you tirelessly advertising, offering discounts, yet orders remain silent? Perhaps the problem isn't your product, but the number you chose. The selling price may seem like a small detail, but it is a fatal blow in business. Price it wrong, and you kill your profit, your customers' trust, and your entire business. Are you setting a price that makes customers think you're cheap? Or is it too high that they walk away, never to return? This isn't just a video. This is the thin line between revenue and bankruptcy. Are you ready to uncover the harsh truth behind the price you've set? Take a closer look before it silently erodes everything. Continuing our journey to conquer the market, we are entering Chapter 2 of the special 10-video series titled The Roadmap to Market Mastery. In the previous part, we laid a solid foundation with Introduction to Marketing, where you discovered the core essence of marketing in an intensely competitive age. Today, the journey continues into the next critical phase, uncovering pricing strategies, the factor that determines how you communicate value and position your brand in the customer's mind. Part 1. Competitor-based pricing, a passive mindset that limits growth. Pricing based on competitors is the easiest way to enter the market and also the quickest way to lose your identity. When you look to others to define your value, you've given up your role as a leader. That's not strategy, it's reaction. You become a puppet of the market, dragged along each time your competitors shift. This is a guaranteed formula for losing the price war, one you can't win with differentiation. This strategy might be acceptable if you're selling a commodity, where price is nearly the only factor customers care about. But if you're building a brand, aiming to survive and break through, then clinging to others' prices destroys your own advantage. You become replaceable, easily compared, easily forgotten. The more you lower prices, the more you sacrifice quality, team, service, and ultimately, credibility. Low pricing isn't a strategy, it's a sign of helplessness. Instead of asking, how much are competitors charging? Ask, what value do I offer that they don't? When you position your product based on true value, experience, results, trust, you don't just raise your price, you elevate the entire game. Customers aren't just buying products, they're buying emotions, peace of mind, and pride in choosing you. Pricing is a reflection of your business's personality. How can you stand out if you blend in? Be the standard, not the follower. Price should not be a race to the bottom. When you control price, you control the market. Strong brands never need to stoop to compete, they set the rules. Value-based pricing forces you to upgrade yourself, but it also opens the door to higher margins, greater loyalty, and long-term credibility. If you want short-term survival, look at competitors. But if you want longevity, focus on the unique value only you can deliver to the market. Part 2. Break-even pricing, an aggressive strategy to expand market share. Break-even pricing is the art of bold calculation. You don't profit immediately, but you're buying something more valuable, market access. By accepting zero profit, you're trading short-term gain for long-term opportunity. This isn't failure, it's strategy. You're investing in data, experience, and the initial trust of customers. The goal isn't money, but the consumer's mind. And whoever owns the mind, owns the market. Break-even doesn't mean sacrifice. It means strategically choosing a smart entry point in the sales journey. A low-priced, attractive product that just covers costs can ignite the whole system. Higher-end services, upgrades, and loyalty programs. This is the self-funded marketing strategy, where customers fund your acquisition costs. The key is having a clear roadmap, knowing how to shift from break-even to profit without losing momentum. The fatal flaw in this strategy is stopping at break-even with nothing beyond. If you can't turn first-time buyers into lifetime customers, you're wasting immense resources. Break-even pricing is a double-edged sword. You either use it to unlock treasure or cut off your cash flow. Remember, this isn't a survival strategy, it's a battlefield entry. And after storming the front lines, you need a support team ready to capitalize on the advantage. When executed properly, break-even pricing not only brings in new customer flow, but also builds a deep business ecosystem. Customers come for the attractive price, but stay for the exceptional experience. That's when you transition from seller to value creator. In a fiercely competitive market, sometimes the one who dares to forgo short-term profit is the one who dominates in the long run. This isn't a way to make a living, it's how you expand your empire. Part 3. Time-based pricing, an outdated model with conflicting interests. Time-based pricing is a classic model from the previous century when people were measured by their labor hours. Charging by the hour, day, or month sounds transparent, but in reality, it shackles both the seller and the buyer. In this model, time becomes the currency, not results. But here's the problem. Time does not reflect value. 1 hour of mediocrity is vastly different from 1 hour of brilliance. And without measuring effectiveness, fairness is an illusion. The biggest conflict in this model is the hidden misalignment of interests. Sellers are motivated to extend time to earn more, while buyers want to shorten it to save money. A job that should take 8 hours could be stretched to 12 without any proof of quality. The longer it takes, the more money earned. But the longer it takes, the more impatient the client becomes. This model distorts productivity, stifles creativity, and creates silent tension between both parties. Beyond being unfair, this model kills optimization incentives. When income correlates with time, no one wants to speed up. The process gets longer, costs rise, but value remains stagnant. Instead of focusing on faster, better outcomes, service providers focus on extending the contract. The modern market doesn't need that. It needs speed, efficiency, and results. And time-based pricing is the enemy of all three. The solution isn't to abolish this model entirely, but to transform it into something measurable. If you still price by time, attach outcome commitments. Be transparent with results, define KPIs, and tie responsibility to progress. Or better yet, price by project, by package, or by outcome. That's when you escape the trap of the clock and enter a domain where you're paid for your impact, not your screen time. When you stop selling time and start selling value, you elevate yourself from a hired worker mindset. You're no longer an executor, you become a strategic partner. The market is shifting from a labor economy to a skill economy. In that economy, those who drive results are richly rewarded. So, put down the clock, pick up the compass, set the destination, and lead the way. When you create results, time will no longer limit your income. Part 4. Cost plus pricing, when profit comes with waste. Cost plus pricing seems logical, but conceals a fundamental flaw in business motivation. You calculate the total cost of materials, labor, and operations, then add 10 to 20% for profit. Sounds transparent, the customer knows what they're paying for. But in reality, when profit is tied to cost, the more you spend, the more you earn. At this point, efficiency is no longer a priority. Cost is no longer something to be minimized. When service providers are incentivized to spend more to earn more, waste becomes a strategy. A contractor knows that if the project costs $1 million, they earn $150,000. But if it costs $1.2 million, they profit more. They stop asking, how can I save for the customer? And start asking, how can I justify higher costs? This is when hidden conflicts of interest erode trust in the partnership. In today's landscape, customers don't just want to know what they're paying for. They want to know why. They expect proactive optimization and transparency in every spending decision. And that's what cost plus pricing often fails to deliver. It doesn't reward creativity, doesn't encourage efficiency, and doesn't align both sides' interests. It's a model from the old era where scale was everything. But today's customers are smarter, pickier, and won't accept paying extra for inefficiency. The solution is not to eliminate the model, but to redesign the incentive structure. Tie rewards to results. If a contractor saves $200,000 for the client, share a portion of those savings. If they finish early, offer a bonus. When both parties aim for efficiency, performance becomes the top priority. That's when you not only price correctly, but also build a sustainable, fair, and powerful collaboration model. Part 5. Bundled pricing, enhancing perceived value and guiding decisions. When you price by bundle, you're not just selling a product, you're creating an irresistible offer. Instead of letting customers nitpick each component, you combine them into a complete value system. The power of bundling lies in this. Customers stop comparing individual parts and see the whole picture. And if you do it right, that picture makes your price seem like a bargain. You don't need to discount, just increase perceived value. That's the strategic player's edge. Imagine you offer web design services. If you charge by the hour, the client will ask, how many hours will it take? But if you price a package, including 10 web pages, integrated blog, 20 landing pages, and 30 automated emails, they'll ask, what do I get? Shifting focus from cost to value creates full control. You design the structure, define the value, and offer the most favorable comparison. Clients are no longer negotiating, they're benefiting. A bundle isn't just a way to present products, but to design experiences. Selling a complete package means thinking ahead for the customer, predicting what they'll need and integrating it into the solution. This reflects class and deep understanding. Customers feel guided, not sold to. And the best part, many bundled elements can be digital assets, easy to create, low cost, but with high perceived value. This is true leverage in modern business. One of the most effective ways to raise prices is by increasing the perceived value to price ratio. If you charge $1,000, create the impression it's worth $10,000. Then the question isn't, is it worth it? But how can I not buy this right now? Customers feel like winners, and that's why they spend. Bundled pricing lets you do this consistently, easily, and strategically. It shifts your role from vendor to value architect. In a world where customers are bombarded with fragmented choices, those who bundle effectively win. Think like an architect. You don't just assemble features, you craft a complete solution. When you present that solution as a compelling value package, priced attractively compared to individual elements, you don't just sell, you make customers feel grateful they bought. That is the highest level of pricing mastery. Part 6. Positioning-based pricing. Price as a brand declaration. Positioning is not a slogan. It's how the market perceives the unique value you represent. When you're at the top of your field, you no longer need to justify your price. The price becomes proof of your position. Leaders don't ask for permission to price. They set the standards for others to follow. When you control how the market views you, you also control how they accept your price. That is real power. Like in luxury industries, price reflects more than cost or quality. It signals status, scarcity, and influence. When you create more demand than supply, rising prices are inevitable. The key is to manage your resources, limit services, choose ideal clients, and ensure every appearance is iconic. People don't pay just to own the product. They pay to affirm their identity and become part of the standard you set. Positioning-based pricing is your declaration. I'm not for everyone. It's when you stop pleasing the masses and start attracting your true target market. Let the price be a filter. Exclude those who don't belong and retain those who value what you bring. High price isn't for showing off. It protects stature. Elevate your brand's value, and you don't just increase profit. You carve an irreplaceable image in the customer's mind. Part 7. Value-based pricing. Aligning benefits, maximizing results. This is the pinnacle of pricing strategy. Not charging by time nor marking up costs, but pricing based on the outcomes you help customers achieve. When you create real measurable gains in revenue, customers, profit, or market share, you earn the right to share in that success. The price is no longer a cost, but an investment. People are willing to pay more when they believe it will yield even more. You're not selling effort, you're selling quantifiable transformation. This model perfectly aligns the provider and recipient of value. Both share the same goal, growth. You only get paid when you deliver results, which means you must be excellent, efficient, and have a clear process. In return, you're no longer limited in income. If you help a client earn an additional $4 million, a 5 to 10% share is fully justified. Help them reach 10 million? You've just raised your own ceiling, without resistance. The biggest difference in value-based pricing is fairness and transparency. If you don't deliver results, you don't get paid much. But if you exceed expectations, you get paid accordingly, often generously. This eliminates the customer's fear of being ripped off. They know they only pay when there's real profit. It's a formula that builds trust and encourages cooperation because your success is tied to theirs. That's a model of value symbiosis. To apply this strategy, you need two things: real capability and a clear measurement system. You must know what you're good at, the impact you can deliver, and how to replicate that across clients. Value-based pricing isn't for the average. It's for those with a partner mindset and a commitment to full responsibility. When you shift from selling services to sharing achievements, you're no longer a provider. You're a catalyst for someone else's breakthrough. Part 8. Hybrid Model. Strategic flexibility through the customer cycle. You don't have to pick just one strategy. Smart players flexibly combine multiple models along the customer journey. At the top of the funnel, you can use break-even pricing to attract. Mid-funnel, use value bundles to increase revenue. And finally, apply results-based pricing to maximize profit. Each strategy is a gear in a powerful conversion machine. When you master the coordination, you don't just price, you design cash flow, control growth, and build a sustainable brand. What are you selling? Time, effort, or results? If you create a major impact in just a few hours, should that value be diminished? When you finish early, should you be rewarded or doubted? Do customers truly care about the process, or do they need a clear destination? What happens if you double the price without changing the product? Is the difference in the number or in how you see yourself? Price is not just a payment, it is the level at which you believe in the value you create. And the world always pays fairly to those who dare to price with firm conviction. In the next section, I will share about marketing strategy, how to turn the value you have into the reason why customers actively seek you out. Thank you for watching the whole video. Please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos.